Hello, welcome to week 4. This is going to be a pretty interesting 2 weeks as you're going to take your data and you're going to apply some markup to it to make it into information. So we're going up the pyramid. It's going to take us a couple weeks to start to add more value. So as you've worked on making the data your data, so if I can reiterate, it doesn't really matter where you got the data from. The goal of the first exercise was just find some data that you were interested in so that you could work with it, add more fields to it, really kind of understand it. So as you were looking for patterns, you're looking for lack of context gaps, things that just don't make sense because you're looking at a table and that's fine, right? So if we took that table and we tried to say, "Hey, this is information," it would take a human pretty much to read it and understand it. And if you're still concerned that you can't read and understand your data, continue to add things to it that make you feel more comfortable with it. And this exercise in adding markup will probably reveal to some of you some inconsistencies or some things that you need to think about, which is the whole point of the class. In fact, if we're looking at the pattern exercise in Mural, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a new pattern I used in Mural, which is to organize any contributions using these boxes that put things in order. So there's a little bit of a game I'm playing about unordered versus ordered information, because as we start to see pattern and order, we assume more meaning, which is not necessarily correct. But again, we're learning these things as we go painstakingly in order to make sure we understand the principles behind it. So I will say this week requires some reading. This is the overall goals, and you can see here that HTML5 is a big part of this, and using and creating markup is something that maybe you've never experienced before. So there's going to be a learning curve on that about how does markup language work. We're also very interested in semantic markup language. So the goals this week are to start a JS Fiddle solution. It's another one of those things where you go up, you sign in, you sign up, and then you'll send a link out to others, a shared link. And that shared link can also provide us the ability to go in and work on it together if you wish, or we'll just share and I can give you tips as you go on. But the assignment's going to take a couple weeks. So this week is really trying to get a handle on things, trying to get to understand it. But the reading can be a little bit overwhelming. So just to let you know, start with what I've written here about why this exists in the first place. If you wanted to, that's a pretty good place to start. There are a couple readings. Brad Frost is pretty well known, and it's really worth reading and understanding his contribution to this idea of components and pieces, because that's really what you're trying to think about, is repeatability of certain structures that give this data some meaning, making it into information. Daniel Mall is a friend. I'm a fan. This might be a little over some people's heads, but it's still worth taking a look at about how they think in structures to allow design to happen. Again, we're not designing yet. We'll get there. So there's some pretty heavy duty stuff. So take your time with this. Obviously, there's a ability to try things out and learn through doing, which is what I like. But this one does, again, you might need to read it and read it again. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up. So as we go into our exercises, it's going to be about sharing. Oh, by the way, everything's been graded for assignment 1. Everything seemed to go pretty well. I gave you guys some tips if you needed it. Otherwise, I think we're ready to go. So again, here's links again to some of those helpers. Here's an idea of why it doesn't really matter. Like if you started with a table, you can start to create all sorts of different structures and they can look and feel differently. So this is where some thinking will take place, and JS Fiddle will be the main sharing area here. I also have gone through this, so there's some examples if you're want a starting point. The JS Fiddle that I've got here Should be pretty good. Here we go. This is a beginning, a test, so to speak, of just taking your name of your column, which could be name, and using it to pretend that it is a markup language. This is just to help me and help you understand that if, for example, all of these things were really HTML tags, this would be great. And in fact, it's not that bad. We can go into how computers understand things, and you'll see a little bit of that. Or I try to explain it as best I can in the module. But then we'll get into how do we use actual HTML, and learning HTML. At the moment will be done from a cheat sheet. You kind of look at the tags, and really it's about this is all about being human here. So it's about what tags are chosen, what groupings do you think things need to be in to make sense together. So there'll be a lot of heavy thinking and pondering and trying to piece together what would be called meaning before we ever get to anything visual. That's the point. So we're not even concerned at all about anything visual. Once you've added markup, by the way, your content is actually pretty much information because it can be read by search engines. And the visual aspect is something that's sort of, again, a layer on top that we'll get to. So a lot to think about. I know I probably intimidated you guys a little bit, but I think you'll be fine. Good luck this week, and look forward to your contributions.